Hi, I'm Mark, and this is Let's Vibe, the channel all about crystals and our feelings. So, it's been a little while since I last posted a video, and it's in some ways it's kind of just been more of the same. Like, just thinking back if I remember correctly, the things that I talked about in my last video or the last couple videos, yeah, it's kind of been basically a continuation of those themes about working towards a manifestation, and just seeing it take a lot more time than I expected, and working through the low points that come along, experiencing a lot of inner change, energetic change, all that. And of course, this month, particularly last week or a week and a half ago, we finally had this election in the US, and of course it was a shock. And I'm sure there's many others who could resonate with this, but at least me personally, it felt like an energetic earthquake. And it just felt like it happened quite quickly. And it was just this major energetic shift. And, maybe it was just my own energies shifting, but I kind of feel like it was more than just me. It was a collective energy shifting, a collective energy of the US, maybe of the world. But that whole, that event, that election and the aftermath of it definitely resulted in a energetic change, and it left me feeling a bit shaken up. I just had a few days of just feeling unsteady. Certain anxieties were triggered, and it just took a little bit of time to settle back down and feel more grounded. And it also, with that shift and with all the emotions and energies around that election, it also drummed up a lot of my own frustrations, fears, worries that I've been basically carrying around for a number of months. And so I kind of felt like a mess, generally speaking, for the past week or so. And I felt drawn, a couple days ago, I felt drawn to a particular crystal that I have not talked about on this channel yet. And that crystal is Tectonic Quartz. So you can see this is clear quartz, but it's got a lot of interesting ridges, and it's got this twisted kind of shape to it. There's a lot of little, like, beveled edges. It's hard to see, but maybe like that. Lots of ridges, edges. It's just a very unusual formation of quartz. And this piece has a lot of keys. A key is like a A key is an open space or like a deep indentation. It doesn't have to be deep, but it's an indentation within the crystal. You can kind of see one there. And then there's one here, right there, where my middle finger is. And then there's another one, a larger one up here. And so those are called keys, and a key can be used for connecting with, I'd say, other facets of a particular crystal, or connecting with deeper energies, deeper knowledge within a crystal. To be honest, I am not an expert at utilizing keys. I'm still learning how to even connect with a key in a crystal and what that does, and how, I'm still learning about that. So I'm not much help when it comes to that aspect of a crystal like quartz. But just so you know, they do have, those formations, those indentations do have a name and a purpose. So tectonic quartz has this strange shape and all of these divots and ridges and bevels, because in its formation process it was surrounded by calcite. And so thin layers of calcite used to be sitting on the quartz crystal, but the quartz crystal continued to grow even though there were these layers of calcite inhibiting its growth. And so it results in these very interesting formations. And eventually the calcite dissolves away and we're left with this piece of quartz. Now, some sources, some sites online talk about tectonic quartz being formed from tectonic plates shifting and that kind of thing, but and that's honestly what I thought it was. I thought that's how these crystals were formed at first too, because it's called tectonic, so I figured, well, that must have something to do with tectonic plates and tectonic movement. But I think in actuality it's formed by the presence of calcite causing interference with the growth of the crystal. And a lot of these pieces come from Russia. So tectonic quartz can also be called Russian growth interference quartz and shift quartz. So like with all clear quartz, this is a universal healer, a master healer. Clear quartz resonates with all zodiac signs. It resonates with all the elements. It has a universal use. And tectonic quartz definitely has this different kind of energy of shifting, an energy of, what I pick up whenever I hold this crystal is I get this sensation of shifting facets or shifting perspectives, shifting energies, of course. And so I find it to, it's a crystal that can provide a sense of stability when things are really shifting a lot. Like I would say right now, a lot of things are shifting. Not just personally, but generally speaking, societally speaking, globally speaking, there's a lot of shifting going on. And tectonic quartz can aid one through that process or through that period of change. I would say during a time or a period of, things standing still, tectonic quartz really feels that. Then when I pick up tectonic quartz, I really am feeling that energy of shifting from the crystal. But when everything around me is shifting, I get an energy of stability and grounding. But tectonic quartz can help us see what may be inhibiting our growth, our own growth. And it can help in, recognizing what may be inhibiting growth and then helping to release that or maybe grow around it and, bypass, not like in a negative way where you're ignoring it, but I'm just thinking about how this crystal grows. I believe that it helps us in a similar way where if we feel like we're stuck because there's things just in our way, like calcite, in the way of this quartz, it can help us find a way to grow in spite of the circumstances, in spite of whatever your circumstances may be, and to continue to grow and move forward regardless of the calcite that's there. So I do feel like there's a very quite literal correlation between this type of quartz and the ways that it can help us energetically, emotionally, mentally, physically. It is a healer, so it can be used for healing of all and any and all types of issues, whether energetic, spiritual, mental, emotional, physical. Clear quartz can aid with that. I like this piece because it does have like a nice flat side. It's like a window into the stone. So I like that part of it. And interestingly, just a couple days ago, I dropped the quartz by accident and a piece chipped off. And so that's the first time I've chipped this stone. And I've had this stone for a number of years now. But I just thought that was interesting because, when a stone is chipped like that, it's referred to as an empathy nick, meaning that the crystal has established a stronger energetic connection with you, with your emotions, with your energy. So I wasn't upset about chipping the bottom of the stone. It was more just interesting, like, oh, okay. And I always wonder how it might affect, how I relate to the stone, but that always takes time. This, just in some of my own reading about tectonic quartz, it's said that this stone carries an immense amount of energy, but I would say that all clear quartz can carry an immense amount of energy. This type of crystal, this type of quartz can be used for aligning your chakras. And helping clear your channels so that you can allow more energy to come through you or to move through you. It's also can be used, Tectonic Quartz is good for astral travel, journeying, dream interpretation, spiritual practices like that. And yeah, so I found it to be an interesting tool to have during interesting times. And I don't have a song for this stone. I might think of one later, but right now I'm not drawn towards any particular songs for this crystal. But I did also want to talk more about some of the things that have been going on, because I feel like, well, I don't just feel like, I know that I've kept certain aspects of this journey over the last 6-7 months. I've kept certain aspects of it hidden away, or I just haven't mentioned, because I felt like, well, I felt uncomfortable. I felt like, well, I shouldn't mention it because then it might sound like I'm complaining or like I'm fishing for sympathy or something. But I wanted to kind of fill in the blanks. You know, as I mentioned earlier, I've talked about how I've been on this manifestation journey for the last 6 months now. And I've talked about how it's been a very slow, kind of painstaking process. It has not been going at all according to how I would have expected it to go. Certainly not going according to how I wanted it to go. And there have definitely been many moments of, I would say, awakening and transformation, or you could also call it ascending, you know, having your vibration rise higher and transforming. There's been a lot of that over the months, many times, again and again. Receiving, you know, a lot of downloads. When channelers and diviners receive information from spirit or from their spirit guides, they often call it downloads. And I get things like that too. So again and again, I'll get some downloads, very powerful, very, very uplifting, sometimes very eye-opening. I'll feel great. I'll feel like things are moving ahead, I'm making progress, and then bam, I'm at a low point again, feeling like, what the hell's going on? Why isn't anything working out? Like, what is the deal here? Because it's like, I thought I just went through the transformational process. Like, why am I still dealing with the same issues? And the issues, like the real struggle, like beyond, or not beyond, but aside from the energetic and spiritual struggling and growing and transforming, I've had some very 3D physical struggles as well that have made this whole journey the challenge that it is. I would say it's and that struggle has mainly centered around money. I've mentioned before that this is the only kind of work that I do. I felt very, very powerfully called to delve deep into the spiritual realm and to follow my intuition and pursue my interests, like with crystals or with reiki, with tarot. It was a powerful calling, and I really heard that calling back in 2020. And I have a long history of trying to do other jobs, trying to, find my purpose in other types of work, and just coming up against a lot of difficulty, a lot of frustration, a lot of setbacks, and it just felt like I was constantly pushing up against a brick wall. And by the time 2020 came around and I felt this calling, I was like, I'm all in. I'm all in, because I'm done. I'm done wasting my time, my energy, my mental health, trying to do jobs that I know just don't fit me. They don't align with me. And for whatever reason, I'm someone who needs to do what aligns with me. I can't fake it. I can't force myself to do any kind of random work. It bugs me so much on the inside. It bothers me deeply when I force myself to do things just for the sake of doing it to make some money. And that kind of, it kills me on the inside. It messes with my head. I don't know why. I don't know why that's the case. It seems like things could be easier if it wasn't that way. But 2020, I heard that calling. I felt that compulsion. And I was like, I'm ready. I'm ready to do what is in alignment. And if this is what's in alignment with me, then I'm gonna do it. And for the first couple years, it was okay. It was, well, I guess the first several years, I faced a lot of fears, fears around, hearing the opinions and thoughts of friends and family as I made this switch, it was like making a 180 and just walking in a completely different direction. And it certainly caught the attention of friends and family who were wondering what I was doing. And most of it really didn't make much sense to them. And so I had to learn, I had to push through those fears. I had to work through those insecurities that I had around other people's opinions and beliefs. And I finally connected with a mentor, with a spiritual teacher, a Reiki teacher. But she teaches all manner of spiritual practices and spiritual work. But I finally connected with a teacher in 2023, at the very beginning of 2023. And that was great, and I was excited. I thought, finally, I'm getting the help that I need. I'm getting some guidance. I'm learning what I need to learn. And of course, my thought was, once I'm done with the training with this teacher, I'll start my own business. I'll start my own work, and I'll be able to make a living from this and finally create some physical stability and comfort for myself. Because, I have had financial resources over the last several years. But it's required budgeting, and it's in the last year, or not the last year, but about 6 months ago, I basically ran out of the savings that I had. And I do receive money from some other sources each month. But, and it's a, it, it's incredibly helpful. I would never forget to be thankful for it. But the money that I do get now, you know, having depleted the savings, the money that I have now, it covers my most important bills. It covers a little bit of some of the things that I need, but it's not enough to last a whole month. And I knew that as the month of May was approaching this year, because by May I was, you know, I was empty of all savings. And I could see that coming, and I could see that, you know, once those savings are depleted, my budget's gonna be extremely tight, and I'm simply not going to be able to afford all of the things that I need. But, and I spent as much time as I could trying to, you know, make sure that I'm in alignment. You know, is this my path? Is this what I'm heading towards? Like, am I doing the right thing here? Because it's not really looking that great. 3D wise, it's really not looking that great. But I kept feeling over and over like Spirit was guiding me to just continue to not push or force things to happen, to not run out in fear and desperately try to find clients or to, you know, find some side job, something random. My guidance consistently has been sit still, stay where you are, and trust. And so May, June, July, you know, I started to experience that lack of money. And I knew in the back of my mind that this was definitely going to put me in a position where I was going to be facing some very powerful fears around money or lack of money. And certainly that's what has happened. In, you know, over the summer especially, I felt like I walked through a lot of deep fears around not having money or not having enough, and facing fears like that. And it kind of felt like round two, because I had a very similar kind of experience in 2022 with not enough money. But I guess I needed another go around, because there was some deeper things that needed to come up, and more fears that needed to be faced head on. And I do, looking back on the summer, I do see that I did learn some important things about my relationship with money. I did learn how to better distance myself emotionally from money, because for so much of my life, money was tightly wound up with emotions, often anxiety and fear or shame. And so I see over the summer that having to move through those fears, having to move through not having quite enough, allowed me to release a lot of emotions that had been so tightly stuck to money. But of course, you know, with, and this is this is the part that is perhaps even harder to talk about, because it sounds kind of crazy and it sounds a little ridiculous, and it's like, you know, what the hell is this person doing? I kind of don't care anymore. I mean, I kind of just don't care what it sounds like. This has been the journey. But you know, with a lack of money has brought with it the challenge of not being able to buy enough groceries. And again, I had kind of dealt with some of that in the past. It wasn't totally new. It certainly was not what I was wanting. I was kind of like, come on, spirit, like, are you really just gonna let me, you know, have to ration my food? Yeah, that's what that's what I've had to do. I've had to buy my groceries very strategically, and I've had to ration it. Haven't been able to go to the store very often. And because I've been eating less and, you know, usually like 1 or 2 meals a day, because of that, I started to lose weight. And the funny part is that I've wanted to lose weight for years. I'd say, so I used to be pretty skinny. I was always a skinny kid. But then when I turned 21, for whatever reason, I could never figure it out, but for whatever reason, at 21, I started gaining weight. And I gained quite a bit of weight, like close to 100 pounds. No, probably around 100 pounds. I used to be like 180, and then I went up, over the years, I went up to about 280. And that brought all kinds of issues with dealing with friends and family commenting on my weight, and it was a whole thing. It brought with it a lot of struggles with shame and guilt and anger, frustration. And for many years, I tried really hard to lose that weight. And I could manage to lose 10 pounds, maybe up to 20 pounds, but that was it. I could never seem to get beyond that. And it always felt like it always felt defeating and frustrating. And it seemed like nothing I did would really make a difference on this weight. And I wasn't wanting to lose the weight simply because some family members were on my back or whatever. It wasn't just that. I genuinely wanted to lose some of that weight, and I wanted to see myself differently. I wanted to work on my body. I wanted to see a different body in the mirror. I wanted to build more muscle and just get rid of some of that excess fat that I had. But it was just an incredible challenge. It didn't seem to matter how much I exercised or what kind of healthy food I was eating. I just couldn't seem to make a significant difference. But in the last 6 months, with not having much of a choice about how much I eat, and certainly not having a budget for eating out, I've lost more weight than I ever have. I have never been at the weight that I am now. I have not been at this weight since before I was 21 years old. So 16 years, 16 years since I was this light. And so as challenging and frustrating as it's been to work with a tiny budget and ration food and not be able to just eat whatever I would like to eat in any given moment, it's like, oh, I've suddenly accomplished what I thought I couldn't. Because for years, I really thought that I just would never be able to lose that weight. And now I have. And it's like, what? Like, why? I mean, it's really cool. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, I definitely would never have chosen to do it this way, because this way has been frustrating. It's been a little bit painful. You know, it can be it's hard to cut down on calories and to cut out junk food and cut out sugars, and it's hard. So while I never would have chosen to lose weight like this, I did. And it's kind of like, whoa, I have not seen myself in the mirror looking like this in so long. And then it also got me thinking, and again, this is something I've kept to myself because it can easily sound a little delusional, a little ridiculous. I don't care. This is the spiritual path. It's ridiculous. I just gotta say that. This spiritual path is ridiculous because it's not going to go according to your plans. It's not going to go according to the logic of our society. No. It just isn't. So another ridiculous realization that I had about this, losing weight and having to eat less due to budget restrictions, I realized, oh, this is kind of like fasting. And I thought about how fasting is a pretty much universal spiritual practice. I mean, people of all faiths and all spiritual practices practice fasting at least once a year or during a certain part of the year. Fasting is like fasting is a very fundamental spiritual practice. But it's not something that I ever would have, maybe not ever, but it's not something that I would usually willingly go into. And I certainly wasn't planning on doing that this year. It just wasn't even an idea. But because I essentially have been fasting, it made me think, well, perhaps Spirit has been using this not just to help me lose weight, but to help me raise my vibration. Because that's what fasting does, is it really cleanses our energy and it helps our energy to rise in frequency. It helps with increasing our focus. It helps in establishing a stronger connection with Spirit. And so I thought about that in conjunction with all of the, downloads, awakening experiences, transformative experiences. It's like, I wonder if God, if Spirit, this entire time has been using this lack of money, lack of provisions, lack of food. I wonder if Spirit's been using it this whole time to facilitate my spiritual growth and bring me into the physical form, the physical body that I've been wanting this whole time. Maybe spirit wanted it too, because maybe some of that fat that I had, that weight, was like carrying stuff from the past. I mean, you know, along the lines of releasing stuff, releasing that weight. That weight was accumulated over years of depression, years of very deep, very painful depression and anxiety and panic. And so losing that weight is like a very real physical releasing of that chapter of my life. And I also do believe that it's aiding me in raising my frequency, raising my vibration. And I just did I did a couple tarot readings earlier today. I felt like I was in a clear enough headspace to do a reading for myself. And so I did a reading about, you know, why have things been the way that they are? Why has my money situation been the way that it is? And why has my food situation been the way that it is? And for both readings, the answers that I got were that it was all part of this process of ascension, a process of growth. Which in a way I'm thankful to hear that message. I'm thankful to receive that message because, you know, the wounded parts of me, it's easy to believe. It's easy for me to believe that the lack of money means that I've made a mistake, or the lack of money means that I was wrong the whole time, that I did something wrong. Maybe I'm being punished. This is why God hasn't, you know, sent the money that I had tried to manifest months ago. Because that was another thing that was just constantly running around my mind, was where are my manifestations? Where is the money that I manifested months ago? Where is just the basic necessities that I've been trying to manifest? And so, no, the message, the answer I got was not, you're wrong, you're being punished, shame on you. The answer from Source, the answer from my spirit guides was, this has all been part of this leg of the journey. And so that is comforting, but at the same time, it doesn't make it less hard. It doesn't make it less challenging, but it is good to be able to receive that message and to see a bigger picture about what's going on. I'm not struggling just because I'm foolish. I'm not struggling this way just because I'm stubborn or because I don't want to listen to other people. Like, it's not that. I didn't fall off the trail. I didn't lose sight of spirit. I didn't fall out of alignment. But it's certainly easy to think that way because, again, the circumstances are not what I would have chosen. And from a, you know, outward perspective, these kinds of circumstances just don't look good. They don't look helpful, and they certainly don't always feel helpful. And so, all that being said, I just wanted to share all that. I wanted to just like share the nitty-gritty of this whole process, this whole journey that's been going on the last 6 or 7 months. And I wanted to share the parts that I'd been hiding, because it's like, I don't need to feel shame about it. I don't care how it looks. I don't care how it sounds to other people, especially people who don't understand what the spiritual journey even is. You know, I can't bother with how they view it. I can only focus on, how am I seeing this, and how is spirit seeing this? And also, I just wanted to share this because there are so many videos about the ease of manifesting, and the you know, it's so easy, it's so quick, it's you don't need to do anything. But then there's this other side of the picture, and I think that other side of the picture is divine timing, divine plan, divine logic, which is completely illogical to us humans. And I guess that's what, you know, again, I don't discredit, I don't disbelieve or argue against any of those, you know, manifestation coaches or people who talk about their manifestation practice. It's just, me personally, I had never come across such a struggle and so much challenge, and I couldn't really find much to validate that struggle online. I haven't come across any other videos about manifestation that talk about some of the so-called detours or unexpected detours that can come up, or the fact that sometimes trusting in spirit means moving through things, through circumstances that make no sense, or that seem bad or feel bad, and it leaves you wondering, well, where's my manifestation? Like, what is this? This is crazy. And I've had so many days like that where I've felt pretty beaten down and felt like, this is insanity. You know, what is happening here? Nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense. And I want to share that aspect. I wanted to share that experience of mine. Maybe you have one that's similar, or maybe someone will come along and see this video and be able to relate. Because it's not always sweet and easy and quick. At least not from the 3D physical human perspective. It doesn't always feel easy. It doesn't always feel quick. So, just wanted to share that with you all. If you have any questions or comments, or you want to share some about your own experiences with manifestation, or the unpredictable nature of the spiritual journey, I welcome that. If you feel like donating to the channel, my Venmo and PayPal are in the description box below. And as always, I am open for personal tarot readings and distance Reiki sessions. And you can email me for inquiry, to inquire about that. My email address is also in the description box. And as always, thank you so much for vibing with me.